Hello traders, this is a DAX recap video for Friday, July the 19th, and this is the chart with the zones given to you with the morning notes. So in the morning, in the pre-market, we got this situation here that DAX basically spent almost the entire pre-market session in our main resistance zone. And when you have such a situation that market is balancing here, that is a tell that market could attempt a breakout. And we know that those kind of attempts can fail or they can work. And then there is this job on us to determine is it going to work or not following the price action. As I said here in the morning notes, what about DAX? That we should note this possible bear flag, this channel of course, on the zones chart. These upper zones above the main resistance will remain the same, and for entire leg down that we already had various fib retracement tests, and that this line in the sand zone would be a tell of invalidation of this down move only if we got a decisive move above this zone, because this zone here is right where the 61.8 fib retracement is of this down move. And I said again, when you have this kind of activity in the pre-market, balancing could mean a break attempt after the open, and on the other hand you have bearish flag, possible bear flag, and you have previous cash close, which is at a good distance away from the possible open. So you could get again a move to try to fill that gap first. So I inventory correction first, and then we shall see. So I said here that higher order scenario is going down from the main resistance first, and if you see just a small shallow pullback and going inside, that could be the case that breakout attempt is cooking behind. So today we got a option expiry day. On those kind of days we usually have sideways choppy activity, and thanks to the trading gods we didn't get that today. We got some better movements. So this was the look of the market before the open. There was here making some kind of bull flag, and then they gone first below that bull flag, then above that. So I will delete it now, because this was something that you could make yourself in the pre-market, and that wasn't really useful to us later. So first move was to the downside, and we got a opportunity to short this market right here, basically a few minutes before the open, or at open itself, or this small pullback to it, but it was a very limited trade. Personally, I had an order taken here in the pre-market, and my close was here. I got a fill here thanks to the fact that IG market has 3 points lower quotes. I got a fill on 281, which is here a low of this move. And if we are going to use a fib, that is again a very useful tool for today. For this move, you can see why they were here, why the move died here, because they showed some strength in the pre-market, and a move started here from yesterday. Then here was a small gap up on futures, then first hours of the pre-market was going up, and then consolidation from 3:30 to 9 a.m. they were consolidating here, telling us that this could happen. And then after this first trade, of course, bullish traders could go long here on this minor support, but today market offered us more selling opportunities than buying opportunities, especially if we have inside the possible bear flag, the fib retracements of the down move, and the possible exhaustion move into this gap and this zone. So after this upside move, when we observe that market here is struggling at the gap, so this was the gap from July 17th, they are struggling here, they just touched the gap, they filled that gap, they're struggling, and this is the first test of the rising trend line, because you need two dots to make them, and here they are. So this is the first test, and this is also a false breakout above our main resistance zone. Top of the main resistance zone, this level 325, this is here the RTH low of Wednesday also, and that was an important thing. So you could observe and make a conclusion about this trade and entry on two separate occasions. Here would be the entry of an aggressive seller that wants to sell this, thinking of a possible exhaustion move, because from here to here you got 130 points, which is the daily ATR. And you could also get inside here below the line, and here, that is the trade that I have shown you, that entry. I took that trade more of a scalp trade than a day trade, with stop just above this here. For day trades, you could use a larger stop above all of this, and then your target would also be bigger. For this trade, the first target, the one that I took, was here again, near this, what that was in that period of time, the swing low of this move. And we had these minor zones here. As said in the morning note, these minor support zones were good for targets and for gauging the market strength, of course, and possibly for entry on a pullback. Now, this is a upthrust, and I have shown you that upthrust picture in my Twitter feed, and that book, Trades About to Happen by David H. Weiss, is a very, very good book. Unfortunately, I do not have that in PDF format, but you can easily buy a new or used version on Amazon. I think that it's pretty cheap there, and it is, in my opinion, one of the best trading books, and especially for this kind of trading setups, which are upthrust and springs. So this was the good upthrust, and really a school book example of upthrust, and almost the same school book example was today on the Nasdaq also. When you have a range, break above that range, and that was a false break. When the price moves back inside the range, target is back end of that same range. And this is how it looks on the S&P right at the open, and on Nasdaq right at the open. So this was Nasdaq, and again similar setups, upthrust and reaction from the previous cash close for buyers. Back to the DAX. So those setups, you will find them very, very often. And now you are selling this because this is a upthrust. These two entries were the best possible entries, but you could also get inside here on this pullback toward the main resistance, because now in this period of time everybody can see that this is a failure at this period of time. Now we are failing, we are making lower lows on daily basis, because this is the open here. We are making new RTH lows now, and you have a pullback toward the zone. Now you have to be aggressive here and front run that zone. So alternative, if you all missed all of this, keep in mind the ATR, like we have 100 points from here to here, that we could get again that same 130 points from here to the downside. So if you're going short here because you missed all of this, that is a good enough entry if this is really a failure. And it turns out to be exactly that. And if you are here, then your stop goes just with the volatility 20-25 point stop into the zone, because you don't expect now the market to go back inside the zone, because this is now a weak market, a market that cannot go back inside the zone. And now your targets are lower, and your final target should be to go for the gap fill and front running the main support. Once you observe that market is here losing steam, and then there is no enough weakness for this market to continue going lower, and that they are making here basically a higher low regarding to these two lows, you could again enter either here long or here when you observe that they are making a comeback above the previous cash close. So you could go long also here. If you are here with your longs, your stop goes behind this. If you are here with your long, stop should go at least behind this, if not behind this, so bigger stop then. And because this is now a dominant move, of course you are going to use Fib retracement to measure that move and to exit near 38.2, because you see here that they are struggling to go higher. So this is your exit here. And here, this was also a short setup based on the false break above the zone, above the 38.2, and the fact that on 3:30, when US market is open, DAX was here, while US market, both S&P and Nasdaq, was going down from the open. Right from the open on 3:30, right from the open they were going down. And DAX, which is a weaker index, prolonged a bit higher, and then it also turned down. So this is again here a short entry for us. Now this is a bit advanced maybe for new traders, but this here, learning to trade this upthrust and springs, this is what everybody should learn. And here also to take this, you will not always get a good touches of these main zones, and sometimes market participants are going to front run them, and then you can chase it a bit after you see that market is going above this first hurdle. In this case it was the previous cash close, and from here, because now it is already late, US session is started at 3:30, you usually have both a low and a high of the day on DAX. From here to make a lower low and DAX to go below this main support, you would need to see extra weak US market, and that is something that it's quite unlikely that you're going to see on the OpEx day. So again, from here your target is going to be near this zone or near the previous cash close. Use those existing references now to unload your trade, and that would be it really. This later from you know that I don't really care about developments on DAX from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. because at that period of time it's much better for you, if you're an active trader, to trade something else. And DAX had plenty of opportunities here, especially if you caught any of these short setups, if you got any available trade here. Down the way, you could also scalp this move to the downside. It would be much better, of course, to take one bigger part of this down move in a single trade, but you could also scalp this. And in time, you will get a feel to know what kind of down move is pretty normal move, controlled move, just for one 8-year move, and which is the, the trend down movement. In trend down movement, you will not get such a pullback market will go with much faster movement, with much bigger candles, and the trend down day in this case would be a 250-300 point drop, not like this. So this was here an exhaustion move for the longs, as well as this here was exhaustion move for the shorts, a move that come right into the gap fill, right into the upper edge of the bear flag, and also with fibs of the down move. And that is it for this edition of DAX recap videos. Next weekly video is going to be tomorrow, not on Sunday, because on Sunday I'm going on road, and a weekly video is going to be on Saturday. I wish you a good weekend and good trading.